What up? It's your boy, the Incredible Man. And yes, I am back at it again. And this is New Amsterdam Season 3, Episode 13, Season Finale. And it was a nice little lesson and message in this, man. Everybody had to learn something. Let's talk about it. There was lessons to be learned this episode, and I really enjoyed all of these people learning a lesson this week, but there was just some things in particular that kind of just upset me to the most, and that is the fact that we start off seeing Max versus Lunar grandparents in the whole little battle for custody or whatnot, not before a judge, but they're kind of just trying to figure out some leeway to work some things out, and they're doing it with their attorneys. And what I loved about that entire whole little sequence was that his attorney mentioned the fact that they did steal Luna. So, that's kidnapping. And you're lucky he's not, trying to do, Max isn't that kind of person, but he can make this case so much more worse than it has to be, because you supposedly you bring up all this stuff about Max not actually being there to take care of Luna, but you guys kidnapped her, so you legally have no grounds. Anyway, regardless, they don't have much grounds to go on anyway because they're grandparents, and it's not like her dad is abusing her or mistreating her in any kind of fashion. So he's in her life, and he has a stable job. So there's really no ground for them to stand on. But the fact that you kidnapped her, you were already the odds were against you anyway to begin with. But then you go and kidnap her. You're lucky Max isn't that kind of guy. Me myself, I'd probably be that kind of guy. But at the end, like throughout this entire episode, after that whole interaction, they just kind of tear into Max. And Max is kind of like, well, you know what? Maybe you guys are right. Maybe you should keep her. And I was thinking to myself, no, Max, don't fall for their foolery. Because all the stuff that they mentioned about him constantly fighting and trying to save everybody and him running into the chemical spill and stuff, Max is that type of person. It doesn't mean anything because he done all of this stuff. It's not like he intentionally, well, I'm going to go risk my life and die today, and I don't care about Luna. That wasn't his first foremost thought. His thought was to try to save the people that were in immediate danger inside the hospital. And because he goes to bat for a lot of people that needs help, and he's constantly trying to help people because it's the right thing to do, that's why you want him to not be around Luna, because he not... And I don't even see this the fact of him not putting Luna first. It's the fact of him doing his job to try to help other people that are in poor situations, poor neighborhoods, just overall in the bad situation. And Max is trying to make their life just a little bit better and help these people if he can. And this is what you use as your foundation to try to gain custody of Luna. Oh, well, he ran in there and trying to do the poison and the chemicals, and he didn't even have a thought about Luna. That wasn't the case, but people were already having all kinds of symptoms from this chemical stuff, and Max was trying to wrap it up before it could actually spill. And like while he because he was gonna leave, he was gonna wrap it up and leave, but like while he done that, it all of a sudden just started to burst more, and he couldn't leave. I don't know, that whole moment just upsets me. Oh, he ran into the chemical spill and he didn't have any thought about Luna. That's not the case. He was trying to help someone else, well, a bunch of other someones that needed help in the hospital. They would, oh my gosh, then they just try to bring up the whole thing. Well, he's an absent father because he works at the hospital. I mean, I don't live in New York, but the cost of living in New York I'm pretty sure is expensive. So if this man cuts back on hours and doesn't work as many hours he's worked, him and Luna may not have the nicest place to stay. I don't know, man. And the apartment that they have is pretty spacious. It's pretty nice. So, I mean, you can't expect this man to work and then not have a place for him and Luna to stay. I don't know, man. Their whole thought process behind everything is just baffling to baffles me. It baffles me. I don't know, man. But we also see while dealing with that, this episode, Max tries to, I don't know how you say, like kind of re-solidify himself. Like he tries to think about everything that he's doing and been doing, and he tries to go a step beyond further in this episode to help people that need the vaccine, because the vaccines are going to expire in 6 hours, and he's been running around trying to help these people that haven't gotten the vaccine. But he goes into these poor neighborhoods and these a little underdeveloped communities, and these people already have the vaccine. It's people that's working at the hospital that don't really want to buy into the whole vaccine thing, and Max didn't realize that. And we see this episode that Max, things kind of shifted for Max a little bit because he was trying to help people in low income situations, and they were the ones that already had the vaccine. It's the people that involved in the hospital that's working, and their doctors and staff and everything else, and they're the ones that don't have the shot. And we also got to see Todd this episode, which is nice and lovely. I love seeing Todd. I love Todd. I think you guys love Todd as well. Todd is just a wonderful, fantastic character that every time he's on screen, it always just makes everything a little bit better. And he kind of breaks everything down for Max as well, because Max, you know, he goes above and beyond, but Todd and Sharp is a few of the people that kind of can bring Max back down to reality and let him see things in a clear focus. And I loved seeing Todd this episode, man. And at the end of the day, you know, he couldn't give the vaccines to anybody because he ran around trying to find all of these people that was underdeserving and underwhelmed that needed them, and they already had a shot. So by that time, the vaccines ended up being expired, and Max just kind of felt horrible this episode because he kind of felt like he let the people down, he let Luna down, and everything. And at the end of the episode, we see that Max goes back to her parents. Well, Georgia's parents, because they tried to throw up Georgia in his face and everything. And he goes back to them, stands them straight to face, look them eye to eye, and tell them that I'm fighting for my daughter, because he had a nice, wonderful conversation with Sharp that told him that, you know, hey, if it's worth, I mean, you know, it's very important if it's worth, wait, no, how did she say it? Oh, if it's worth fighting for, it's important. So that was very nice. And he just told him straight up that you can say what you want to say, but I'm taking my daughter. And if you guys keep fooling around with me, I'll make it to where you don't see her, because you did kidnap her. So take it or leave it. And I like Max for that point, man. And the fact that he stood up and he got a little revelation of everything this episode really speaks volumes for Max's character. And I can't wait to see what we're going to dive into next season, man. Well, like continuation of season. You know what I mean? We also have Bloom and Reynolds this episode. Both of them are kind of dealing with something, because Reynolds is dealing with the fact that the OGBYN doctor, I can't remember her name. She likes him, he likes her, but he doesn't really want to dive into a relationship with her because she's married. And he talks to Bloom about it, and Bloom just kind of brings up the whole thing that, well, Floyd, you know that you kind of want to be this good man where you want to marry a black woman, you want to have some black kids and all this other stuff, and you keep looking for all this wonderful, perfect life. And the thing is, you always end up finding yourself on the edge of the cliff. So maybe you actually really want to jump. And I love the fact that she mentioned that, because when Floyd meets her at the end of the episode, he decided not to take that jump. And I'm kind of glad that he did, because at the end of the day, she is married. And, you know, for whoever that's for, you know, cheating with your spouse or whatever, you know, whatever floats your boat. But it's hard to, you know, keep your morals intact and stand up for what you believe in, man. Anybody can take that jump, take that plunge, or do what feels good in the moment, because Floyd mentioned that, you know, like, because I would love to just take you right here because my body's telling me to. Anybody can do what feels good in that moment, but to stand your ground, hold up to your morals, and stand up for what you believe in, now that's hard. And Reynolds done that because he knows what he wants. But it just seems like the world and the universe isn't going his way to have exactly what he wants. But for him to stand his ground and be adamant about what he wants, and to not fall for the traps and plans and whatever, he's for it. And I'm really loving the fact that Reynolds stood up for that, because I feel like they could have made him sleep with this chick and everything, and then we would have just had a whole problem to deal with. But he decided not to, and I gotta applaud him for that. Bloom is also kind of getting a realization this episode, because we see, after talking to Reynolds and then dealing with her patient this episode about the guy that may be a KGB spy, which finds out that he is a spy, but he's not now, he's a former spy, and he's having some type of way because he doesn't want to get put in a nursing home and all this other stuff. So after his whole realization about him keeping secrets, Bloom heads home and decides to talk to old girl about her relationship and her being addicted and her not being able to cook because she doesn't want to keep any kind of secrets from her. Now, I'm not really feeling this. I'm gonna be 100%. I'm just not feeling it, because if you ask me, it came out of left field. And Bloom even mentioned this episode that, I've been with women in the past, but, I never had any relationships. I mean, all of this just came out of nowhere for me. But hopefully next time they'll just kind of focus on it and maybe give her like some definition to go into their relationship, because as of right now it's just like, oh, okay, well, Bloom didn't have anybody, so she decided to help her off the streets and let her stay in the closet and gave her a shower, and then invited her to her apartment. You guys want to go together? That's exactly what it felt like for me. It didn't feel like a genuine connection or a relationship or anything. I mean, sure, they got to know each other over the course of time of interacting with each other, but it didn't build towards a relationship. It just built to them, oh, hey, hey, hey. It was never a relationship, and I don't like that, because they just kind of just threw it in our face and like, okay, well, now Bloom is having this relationship. Deal with it. So maybe next season or whatever, they can kind of deal with it and kind of just advance on it or something, make it an actual relationship. I don't know. We also see that Mina and Sharp are just constantly butting heads. I feel like Mina has the chip on her shoulder because, you know, she got dragged to New York because, you know, her father died, her family's gone, and she didn't have anybody there, and Sharp is her only family, and Sharp decided to take her in, but she has a huge chip on her shoulder, and Sharp is constantly trying, but we know Sharp, she's not very open about, you know, herself. So at the end of the episode, after trying on multiple occasions to get Mina all of these different college applications, a letter of recommendation, and all this other stuff, and Mina just wasn't having it because she don't want to stay in New York anymore. You have a loving family member that's willing to take care of you, and sure, it's not like that real strong connection because she was never there for you in your life, but she's trying to be there now, and you won't even give her the benefit of the doubt. And I will give Sharp credit, because at the end of the episode, she tried to take that first step to, you know, open up to Mina, since Mina is not opening up to Sharp for no reason, for whatsoever. She won't just open up to Sharp. She keeps trying to push her away and reject her for some reason. I mean, I get it, because, you know, you never really had that connection. She never really bonded with her father. Like, it was a weird predicament to begin with anyway, you know, because her father left her and her mother, went and had your father, and then, you know, that's it. You know, but like, Sharp kind of opened up to her a little bit at the end of the episode, and we see that connection is starting to build a little bit, and I'm hoping that it kind of builds a nice foundation heading into next season, because, well, I don't know how they're going to do it anyway, heading into the next part, because I want to see them build that relationship, because Sharp is trying, but Mina just won't give her the chance. Let's talk about the cray cray part. It almost slipped my mind because I was trying to focus on everything else, but let's talk about the cray cray part. And that is Iggy. Oh my gosh. This episode went in for Iggy, because we know that Iggy's a great doctor, man. We know that Iggy tries to be there for his patients so much, and so much that he ends up kind of rubbing them the wrong way, if you will. It's because he's such a great doctor, and because he cares about his patients so much, someone like Chance ends up taking it the wrong way, and it becomes like this weird obsession / affection. And he broke into Iggy's house while Iggy is sick, and I don't know, man. Chance is gone, and I love the fact that Iggy kept a cool, calm demeanor while he was there, because he was crazy. Because this episode, this fool blurted out that he killed this family, not because it was an accident and he was smoking a cigarette like he said he was. It was because he actually killed him, because his father was tormenting him, and no one in the house stood up for him, so he decided to kill them all. And I was like, oh my gosh, Iggy's in trouble. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, because his husband left, the kids are grown, and I felt like that was a good part, because Chance may have just tried to harm the entire family, but if it's just Iggy there, he may not harm him. He may just try to have that connection. And Iggy handled that greatly, man. I'm going to be 100%. For even the parts about him lying and just telling Chance a story to try to keep him calm. And the whole story was made up, and it made me believe it. I'm going to be 100%. I believed everything that Iggy was saying, thinking that, is this true? I mean, I really didn't know. But at the end of the episode, he mentioned that he lied just to get Chance to let his guard down and get him to relax a little bit, because Chance was eating this story up, man. I mean, I was eating it up too, being 100%. But the fact that he told him this story to get him to relax a little bit, because Chance came in there all edgy and probably would have harmed Iggy if Iggy wasn't careful. I love the part when Iggy came in, when he was telling them the story, and his husband came in, and he was like, You okay? Because I felt like his husband could tell that something was wrong because the way that Iggy, he even heard him having a whole conversation in there. So, he could tell that something was wrong. And Iggy was like, oh, no, it's cool. Could you get me some soup? Yeah, what kind? Some lentil from the place on 9th and 11th. And when he said that, I was like, instantly, that's 911. He told him to go get the cops. Now, I knew they weren't going to bombard in there because we don't know if Chance had any weapons or anything. He could have harmed Iggy in that moment. So Iggy played it off all smooth. After he finished his conversation, he was like, okay, well, I'm going to get this restraining order revoked. We'll be cool. You can come see me tomorrow at like 3 p.m. Just have a nice, cool, wonderful time, and I'll help you get through this. And I feel like even though he wanted to help Chance, it backfired him on Iggy so much because Chance kind of just developed this weird mentality towards Iggy and just gravitated towards him in a weird fashion. And, he told him to come see me at like 3 p.m. And he was like, okay, but you got to leave now and leave my family alone. And as soon as he went outside, the sirens, the lights and everything, it was quiet until then. And like when the lights and everything came on, and I was like, you know what? That's justice, man. This fool need to be locked up because he has an unhealthy attraction to Iggy, and he thinks that like Iggy is the only one that can help him, and he needs to be in his life, and that's harmful to Iggy, his family, and his kids. So like getting Chance locked up may have been the best thing ever, and I know that probably maybe hurt Iggy a little bit, but at the same time it relieved him because he doesn't have to worry about him popping up around the corner or trying to harm his kids or his family anymore either. Overall, it was just a nice episode. Like, all the stuff that took place, everything kind of wrapped up. It still has some lingering effects to like, well, what's going to happen once the next part of the season starts, but it kind of just wrapped it up nicely and gave you that nice conclusion as you hold out and wait to the next part. So overall, I enjoyed it, and it was a very nice ending for a season finale, man. This is your boy, Dick Incredible. Don't forget to smash the like button so you can't smash any more. Comment down below, and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them and subscribe, but only if you really want to, man. Peace out.
Cannot complain because today, I'm doing my